London. Reuters Brexit is officially off the agenda when Frances Emmanuel Macron meets Theresa May in London today, but British media are wondering whether his loan of the some 950-year-old Bayeux Tapestry to the UK isn't his idea of a clever anti-Brexit gag. The artwork recalls the Norman invasion of Britain, which ultimately gave the host country a proper court system, reshaped its language and boosted the local economy. In short, a shining example of the benefits of immigration, albeit by the sword in this case. The more serious purpose of the summit is to nurture some UKFrench goodwill and demonstrate that ties between the two will continue to function despite Brexit, hence the UK decision to send helicopters to Mali to help in counterinsurgency efforts there. Yet there are suggestions that Brexit has nonetheless curtailed the scope of what Macron and May can announce today. The FT reports that Britain tried ahead of the summit to win a public assurance it could remain close to the EU's new defence cooperation framework, but Paris declined to play ball. Romania's Prime Minister-designate Viorica Dăncilă starts work today on forming her new cabinet, which will be judged abroad almost entirely on whether it will help or hamper the effort to stamp out high-level corruption. Dăncilă in particular has to prove that she is more than just a proxy for Liviu Dragnea, the leader of the ruling PSD party who faces trial on graft charges. According to Romanian law, Dăncilă has 10 days to ask Parliament for a vote of confidence for her cabinet, which she should win easily given the PSD majority. The leader of Germany's Social Democrats is sounding more optimistic on whether his party will this weekend give the green light for formal talks with Angela Merkel's Conservatives on a new grand coalition. Martin Schulz said he was upbeat after meeting SPD members in the southern state of Bavaria and taking the temperature in the large western state of North Rhine-Westphalia, which will send about a quarter of the delegates to Sunday's vote in Bonn. The party's youth wing has other ideas. It is pursuing its no grand coalition tour to rally delegates to reject the talks. Markets. Romania's Prime Minister-designate Viorica Dăncilă delivers a speech in Bucharest, January 17, 2018, underlining the sheer momentum of the world economic expansion into the back end of last year and how synchronized it has become. Chinese fourth quarter growth of 6.8% beat forecasts, and industrial output growth of 6.2% last month was also ahead of expectations. Together with a U.S. tax cut fueled New Year rally on Wall Street, where underlying fourth quarter earnings so far are coming in ahead of the already pretty punchy consensus annual growth of 12%, then it's clear that many investors see a head of steam building. Another surge in the major U.S. stock indices saw another round of record closing highs, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average closing above 26,000 for the first time. MSCI's All-Country World Index hit a new lifetime high late Wednesday too, before ebbing slightly today as Japan's Nikkei underperformed a generally buoyant session elsewhere in Asia. Unusually, the latest rise in stock markets is being accompanied by a rising VIX volatility gauge, which closed just below 12% on Wednesday, at its highest since mid-November, as stock indices show signs of accelerating rather than just eking out new highs. On thin daily moves, the resulting pressure on the bond is evident too, with 10-year Treasury yields hitting 2.60% for the first time since March early on Thursday, and 2-year yields hitting another near 10-year high. European stocks are expected to follow suit, aided by Wednesday's sharp peak to retreat in euro-dollar back below $1.22, about which it's hovering. Early on Thursday, the dollar's modest recovery more generally on Wall Street's newfound bullishness comes in tandem with a series of European central bank speeches insisting the bank won't rush into any change of policy guidance and will stay accommodative unless there's some change in the still benign inflation picture. Some concerns about what a higher euro does to the latter also provided a shot across the bow of the currency market. ECB policymakers Kerr, Weidmann and Villeroy speak at various stages through Thursday. Sterling has pushed higher against both the dollar and the euro, meantime, as Bank of England policymaker Saunders on Wednesday sounded a relatively upbeat and hawkish note about wages, inflation and future interest rate rises. The pound is also eyeing the positive signals surrounding the resumption of Brexit talks later this month, with French President Macron in London for talks with UK PM May on Thursday. Bitcoin steadied just above $11,000. Meantime, after a withering intraday slide of more than 25%, took it below $10,000 for a period on Wednesday amid rising regulatory crackdown fears. In emerging markets, both Turkish and South African central banks meet today. The lira was 0.3% firmer ahead of the meeting, at which a Reuters poll expects the key rate to stay on hold at 12.75%. The rand was a touch weaker, giving back some of the gains that lifted it to 212-year highs earlier in the week against a generally weaker dollar. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has welcomed moves taken by prosecutors against companies accused of corruption, saying he wants to deal with the rot in some of his toughest comments yet about graft. Our standards to Thomson Reuters Trust principles.